to effect. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the honourable member, Dr. Paul Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed a pleasure to speak on this Medicines Amendment Bill, and I want to start by congratulating the Honourable Peter Dunn for his persistence and hard work in making sure that the bill indeed is on the floor of the House today. Also want to acknowledge the Honourable Tony Ryle for ensuring that there is an increase in productivity, efficiency and effectiveness in New Zealand health services today. Because, Mr. Speaker, over those dark, long 9 years, clearly productivity in the health services became static or down. And this was backed up by both Treasury and New Zealand Institute of Economic Research papers, which showed static or declining levels of productivity. And that is surely of great concern when the health budget went from $6 billion in 1999 to $12 billion in 2008. Mr. Speaker, National is certainly committed to delivering high-quality health services to New Zealanders, and because of that we are highly cognisant of how important it is to get productivity into the health services, and this Medicines Amendment Bill is all about doing exactly that, getting streamlined processes in place, literally delivering better, sooner, more convenient health services to New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, it is important to just put into the minds of the Labour opposition and Mr. Little sitting over there that health services right around the world are characterised by almost infinite demand but finite resources. And Mr. Little, it is hugely important that we don't go back into those static old days of no productivity under a Labour government, but continue to fly with a national government who is certainly achieving an incredible amount in 3 to 4 short years. For instance, this afternoon during question time, the Minister of Health pointed out the amazing achievements in the health targets. Immunisation only 4 years ago was about 70% completion rates for 2-year-olds. It's now a stunning 90%, 92%, and in places like Porirua, 94%, which is a great achievement. Mr. Speaker, the Medicines Amendment Bill indeed amends some specific provisions of the Medicines Act 1981. It also amends the prescribing framework for nurse practitioners and optometrists and creates this new delegated prescriber category. And there's a great deal of interest in this because it will indeed allow pharmacists within a scope of practice to eventually have the opportunity to prescribe. There will be restrictions around it. They won't be allowed to own pharmacies, and they will have had to go through a very arduous course. But there is no doubt that many pharmacists carry a knowledge of pharmaceuticals way beyond generalists because of the fact that they are dealing with them day and night and very familiar with the sort of side reactions and other quirks that everyday practical people bring to them from time to time. So I think this will be quite a large leap forward. The bill also fulfills the government's commitment to make more new medicines available in New Zealand. And certainly it was interesting to hear the Honourable Marion Street somewhat shrilly say that this could have happened some years ago, but it didn't happen some years ago, and that Labor government had the opportunity to get the numbers, but they failed. They failed to do so. So it's tremendous that we are now under a national government going to have this bill through and going to be supported by the Labor opposition, which is excellent. Mr. Speaker, one of the things that is so important is to realise that over the next 2 or 3 decades, health services or health requirements in New Zealand will probably double. And we're not going to be able to double the number of hospitals or the number of health practitioners. And that's why it's so important to have new, innovative ways of doing things, new, innovative ways of prescribing, and new, innovative ways of using health professionals. Certainly, the nurse practitioners have shown this. I was lucky enough to attend the diabetic pilot study at Palmerston North Hospital about 18 months ago, and it was quite inspiring to see those nurses who had an incredibly detailed knowledge of the drugs involved in diabetes. They had a huge enthusiasm and contact with their patients, and the results of that pilot were really quite extraordinary and a great credit to the nurses involved with that pilot project, and it'll be great to see it being expanded across New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, this is a great bill, and I look forward very much to going over the details of it in the Health Select Committee.
I